The planet of Zytherra was not welcoming. Its jagged mountains cut into a sky colored with permanent shades of violet and gray. Acid rains had fallen weeks before, turning the rivers to sludge and the forests into twisted shadows of their former selves. Smoke rose from cities that had been bombed, and the air carried the bitter scent of destruction. Captain Marcus Kane, a human soldier in the United Earth Alliance, adjusted the straps of his armor as his squad moved cautiously through the ruins of what had once been a thriving alien settlement. The humans had come to this world to stop the war between two factions, but it seemed the planet itself resisted their presence. Marcus had seen many battles in his life, many planets with fires and ruins and people dying in ways that seemed unfair. But Zytherra was different. There was a beauty even in its destruction, a stubborn life that refused to disappear no matter how deep the scars were. Marcus kept his eyes sharp, scanning the horizon, his mind alert to the dangers that might appear at any moment. His squad moved silently behind him, each soldier trained to trust him with their lives. They were humans, far from Earth, in a place where almost everything felt hostile, yet they were confident because Marcus had never failed them. The mission was simple in theory: locate the source of a strange energy signal detected in the ruins, believed to belong to the royal family of the Zytherians, and ensure their survival if possible. Simple, yes, but reality was rarely simple. Reports had warned them that the area was crawling with rogue war machines and patrols from the enemy faction, machines that didn't tire, didn't feel pain, and didn't hesitate. Marcus checked the pulse of his own heart and reminded himself that fear was a luxury soldiers could not afford. He had a duty to his team, to the Alliance, and to the life they might save. As they approached the royal palace, or what remained of it, Marcus's instincts screamed. The walls were shattered, the gates bent and blackened by fire. Scorched marks of energy weapons crisscrossed the ground, evidence of a recent attack. The squad stopped behind a fallen statue of a Zytherian warrior peering over its edge. "Eyes up," Marcus whispered, scanning the area. Shadows moved in the ruins, fast, sharp, and deliberate. Rogue machines, just as the reports had said. "Captain, dozens of them," muttered Lieutenant Harper, his rifle ready. The machines were small but lethal. Their multiple legs moved like spiders, and their eyes glowed a cruel red. Marcus could see the way they scanned the ground, calculating movement, analyzing heat signatures. If the humans were careless, they would be torn apart before even reaching the palace. Marcus didn't hesitate. He nodded to Harper, and they advanced in a tight formation. "Move slow, stay low, and keep your heads in the game," he whispered. His squad responded with silent gestures, trusting his judgment without question. The machines noticed them instantly, but Marcus had a plan. Using the ruined pillars and walls as cover, they navigated the debris. Several machines lunged forward, their claws snapping. Marcus fired his rifle, precise and controlled. The bullets tore through the mechanical bodies, sparks flying, metal crunching. One by one they fell, but more continued to appear. It was relentless, and Marcus knew they could not hold out forever if they didn't reach the palace quickly. "Almost there," he whispered to himself, and then louder, "Keep moving." His squad followed, adrenaline pumping through every vein. Suddenly, a larger machine emerged from the palace ruins, a war sentinel, towering and brutal with energy blades and an armored shell. It roared in mechanical rage and advanced toward them. The squad froze for a heartbeat, then moved instinctively. Marcus aimed, fired, and ducked, pulling Harper behind cover. The war sentinel swung its massive blade, striking the ground where Marcus had been standing seconds before, sending shards of concrete flying. They had no choice. Marcus grabbed a fallen energy grenade, calculating the trajectory carefully. He hurled it toward the sentinel. The explosion was violent, sending the machine stumbling backwards, sparks flying from its broken circuits. The humans had won the first battle, but they were far from safe. Inside the palace ruins, the signal they had tracked all along became visible. It pulsed faintly, weak but undeniable. And there, amid the rubble and chaos, lay the Zytherian princess, Lyra. Her body was battered, her armor torn, and she was bleeding from multiple wounds. Marcus's eyes widened. She was smaller than he expected, almost fragile-looking, yet there was a presence in her even in this state that commanded attention. Even badly injured, she held herself with the grace and authority of a true leader. "Sir, she's alive, but barely," said Harper, his voice tight with worry. Marcus approached cautiously. The princess looked at him, her eyes flickering with awareness despite the blood and dust. Her voice was soft, alien, yet filled with urgency. "Please, help me," she whispered. Marcus didn't hesitate. He assessed her injuries quickly. Most of them were deep cuts and internal blood loss. She was fading fast. Humans and Zytherians had different biology, of course, and he knew that a simple medical kit would not be enough to save her in time. Then he remembered something he had once read about the rare human blood type he carried, a universal donor type that could, in extreme cases, stabilize even alien physiology temporarily. It was risky, extremely risky. Human blood was not meant for Zytherians. It could cause rejection, infection, or even accelerate her death if it failed. But Marcus didn't care. He looked at her face, her trust, and the life that depended on him. There was no hesitation. "I can help you," he said firmly, kneeling beside her. "But it will be dangerous. I'll have to give you some of my blood." Lyra's eyes widened in understanding, but she didn't resist. She had already accepted that she might not survive otherwise. Marcus's hands moved quickly, cleanly, and with care. He administered the transfusion through an energy-adapted syringe, designed to handle human and alien fluid compatibility. Lyra's breathing was shallow at first, and Marcus watched the color in her skin slowly change, her strength returning bit by bit. Sparks of light danced faintly around the transfusion area, a subtle sign of her alien body adapting. Marcus's chest tightened as he felt the strain on his own body. Giving blood was draining, and the alien physiology required more energy to stabilize. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, Lyra's eyes focused on him, her pupils expanding with relief and recognition. "You saved me," she whispered. Her voice was hoarse but steady. Marcus felt a swell of something he couldn't quite name. Relief, pride, and a strange sense of connection. "Yeah," he said, managing a small smile. "That's what soldiers do." The squad had finished neutralizing the immediate threats, but Marcus knew the danger was far from over. Lyra looked at him, studying his face as if trying to memorize every detail. I don't know how to repay you," she said quietly. Marcus shook his head. "Don't just survive, that's enough." He remained close to Lyra, keeping watch, checking her condition, and offering what comfort he could. He noticed subtle changes in her breathing, the slow return of color to her skin, and the flicker of strength in her limbs. The bond between them, though born of necessity, was beginning to form. There was an unspoken understanding that something had shifted in that room, something neither human nor Zytherian fully comprehended, but something powerful nonetheless. As night fell on Zytherra, Marcus sat beside Lyra, looking at the fractured sky through the gaping ceiling of the palace. The twin moons reflected in her violet eyes, and for the first time since arriving on this planet, he felt a small measure of hope. The war was far from over, but they had survived this moment together. And sometimes, Marcus realized, survival was the first victory of all. Lyra's hand brushed lightly against his, almost involuntarily. Marcus felt the warmth of her touch, the lingering pulse of the transfusion, and he realized that the bond between them was more than temporary, it was profound. For a moment, the destruction, the war, the pain of the planet all faded. It was just him and her, and the quiet understanding that life in all its forms could endure when courage and compassion guided it. "Captain," Lyra whispered, her voice barely audible over the distant hum of the machines that remained inactive nearby. I don't want to leave you." Outside, the wind carried the scent of alien flora beginning to recover, a soft promise that life would continue, no matter how harsh the world had been. Marcus looked at Lyra and saw in her eyes the same determination he felt within himself. They were different species from different worlds, but in that moment nothing else mattered. They were alive. They had survived. And together they could face whatever came next. The night passed slowly, but it brought with it a strange peace. The distant stars above Zytherra shone bright, and Marcus knew that somewhere far away, humans on Earth would be unaware of the small miracle that had just occurred on this alien world. But he didn't care. Here now in the heart of a shattered planet, he had found purpose and connection. He had saved a life, yes, but in doing so he had also changed his own. And as Lyra slept, her breathing steady and peaceful for the first time since the attack, Marcus remained vigilant. Outside, the ruins of Zytherra stretched endlessly, filled with dangers yet to be faced. But he knew one thing for certain. He would protect her no matter the cost. Human or alien, soldier or princess, they were bound now by something greater than fear, greater than war. They were bound by life itself. The first part of their story had ended in survival, but Marcus knew the future held challenges far greater than the ones they had already faced. He did not fear them because he was not alone. And Lyra, who had been dying mere hours ago, now looked at him with trust and understanding, ready to face the unknown alongside him. And so, under the bruised skies of Zytherra, A human soldier and an alien princess began a bond that would change both of their worlds forever. The first light of Zytherra's twin suns crept through the shattered ceiling of the palace ruins, casting long shadows across the broken stone floors. Marcus Kane had spent the night by Princess Lyra's side, keeping watch, ensuring that no threat could approach her while she regained strength. Despite the dangers outside, there was a calmness in the palace ruins now, a fragile peace that gave Marcus a rare moment to reflect. He watched her sleep, the soft rise and fall of her chest reminding him that she had survived. Against all odds, she had survived because of him, and he could feel the bond between them growing stronger. When Lyra finally opened her eyes, she looked different. Her violet gaze was sharper, more alert, as if her mind had been renewed along with her body. The transfusion had worked in ways Marcus had not anticipated. She moved slowly, testing her strength, and then met his gaze with a look that was both gratitude and curiosity. Marcus gave a small nod. "Feeling better?" he asked. Lyra nodded, attempting a faint smile. "I feel stronger, but different," she said quietly. Marcus could see the faint glow in her veins where his blood had merged with her own. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it symbolized something much larger, a connection neither of them fully understood yet, a bond forged in the fire of survival. They spent the morning moving carefully through the palace ruins, Marcus supporting Lyra when she stumbled. She observed everything around her with keen interest, absorbing details about human tactics, human tools, and human ways of assessing threats. Marcus explained things simply, breaking down strategies into ideas that she could understand quickly, even though her species had advanced technology far beyond Earth's. Despite their differences, they communicated well. The bond seemed to help them anticipate each other's thoughts and needs, making their movements smooth, coordinated. "Your people are clever," Lyra said, scanning the layout of the ruined city from the palace balcony. "Even with so little, you organize, you plan, you think ahead. And you're not as helpless as you might think. You just needed a little help to keep going." She was beginning to understand human determination, human adaptability, the qualities that made humans special in the galaxy, qualities that had allowed them to survive, to fight, and even to save lives across worlds. Their cautious morning was interrupted by movement in the streets below. Marcus motioned for Lyra to stay behind a broken pillar as he scanned the area. A group of Zytherian scouts appeared, weapons raised, eyes wary and suspicious. Marcus stepped forward slowly, hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "We're not your enemy," he called down, his voice steady. Lyra followed his lead, standing tall beside him despite her weakened state. The scouts hesitated, studying them carefully. Marcus noticed that they were young, inexperienced, and frightened. They carried the weight of a war-torn world on their shoulders. One of them, a female scout, lowered her weapon slightly and approached cautiously. "Are you human?" she asked. Marcus nodded. "Yes, my name is Captain Marcus Kane. We came to help. We want peace." The scout's eyes flicked toward Lyra. "And she?" "But she needs protection. We can provide that." Marcus's voice carried authority, but it was also calm, reassuring. The scouts looked at each other, unsure, then back at him. Finally, the lead scout nodded. "We will escort you to safety, but you must move quickly. The enemy patrols are nearby." They moved carefully through the city, with the scouts guiding them along safe paths, avoiding patrols and traps. Marcus was impressed by the princess's ability to adapt. Despite the alien terrain, the unfamiliar gravity, and the lingering pain from her injuries, she moved with purpose. She asked questions about human weapons, tactics, and strategies, eager to understand how Marcus and his squad operated. As they moved, Marcus realized that the transfusion had done more than stabilize her. It had heightened her senses. She noticed subtle details others would have missed, like the faint hum of a patrol's energy shield or the shadows cast by the enemy machines. "You see things differently now," Marcus observed quietly. Lyra nodded. "Yes, I can feel the world more clearly. Your blood, it changed something in me. I can sense danger before it arrives, understand decisions faster. It is remarkable." Marcus smiled faintly. "Just be careful. It's a gift, but it can be exhausting. Use it wisely. I need to understand what you humans can do. If I am to lead my people, I must understand them, and you. Besides, I owe you everything. I cannot simply sit while others fight." Marcus studied her for a moment. Her determination was unwavering, even in her weakened state. He felt a deep respect for her courage. "Very well," he said. "Then we learn together." Marcus realized that she was not just learning. She was analyzing, adapting, and improving upon the ideas he presented. He could see her growing stronger with each passing hour, not just physically, but mentally. As the day turned to evening, Marcus and Lyra ventured back above ground, moving carefully through the city's remnants. The streets were quiet, but the tension was palpable. Every corner could hold a patrol, every shadow could conceal danger. Yet, despite the danger, there was a sense of purpose in their movements. Marcus and Lyra moved together, not just as protector and protected, but as partners in survival. Lyra stopped at a collapsed bridge, looking down at the churning river below. "I never imagined war could destroy so much," she said softly. "And yet life still clings to this world. There is hope even in the ruins." Marcus nodded. "Humans believe that way too. We fight, we survive, we rebuild. That's what makes us persistent." "Humans are remarkable." Marcus felt a flush of pride, tempered by humility. "I just did what anyone would do," he said, "but maybe we are remarkable together." Enemy machines were approaching, drawn by the faint energy signature of Lyra's presence. Marcus grabbed her hand. "We move now." Lyra followed without hesitation, her enhanced senses allowing her to anticipate danger and adjust her movements. The bond between them was palpable, each understanding the other without needing words. They reached a secure building, a former academy now partially intact. Inside, Marcus barricaded the doors and checked the perimeter. Lyra leaned against a wall, catching her breath, and looked at him with admiration. "You saved more than my life, Marcus. You saved my people's chance at survival. I cannot thank you enough." Marcus shook his head. "No thanks needed, just stay alive, that's enough." And she was determined to learn, to adapt, and to lead with strength. Marcus knew that the bond between them would become more than survival. It was forming into a partnership, one that could shape the future of her world. As night settled over the city, Marcus and Lyra prepared for the next day. They would move further into the city, find survivors, and continue rebuilding. But more than that, Marcus knew they would face challenges that required trust, understanding, and courage. And in that he found comfort. Humans had a way of surviving, of thriving in the harshest conditions. And now, Lyra had a part of that human spirit within her, guiding her, strengthening her, and connecting her to him in ways that would shape both of their destinies. As Marcus kept watch while Lyra slept that night, he reflected on what had happened. They were two beings from completely different worlds, connected by chance, blood, and circumstance. Yet he felt a certainty he had never known before. Together, they could face any danger, overcome any obstacle, and survive whatever the galaxy might throw at them. The bond between a human soldier and an alien princess had begun, and it was a bond that would change the course of history. Outside, the wind whispered through the ruins, carrying the faint scent of renewal. Marcus stood, gazing at the horizon, ready for the days ahead. Lyra's hand found his briefly, a silent acknowledgement of trust and partnership. He squeezed gently, returning the gesture. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by ruins and danger, they both knew something powerful had begun, something that neither war nor time could undo. The following days were tense but filled with purpose. Marcus and Lyra moved through the shattered city carefully, helping survivors and securing supplies. Every corner of Zytherra seemed to hide danger, from rogue war machines to pockets of enemy soldiers, but the bond between the human and the princess made them stronger. Lyra's senses had sharpened after the transfusion, allowing her to detect threats before they appeared. Marcus, relying on his human instincts and training, guided them through the ruins with precision. Together, they became a team that even the enemy could not easily predict or overcome. One afternoon, as the twin suns reached their highest points in the alien sky, Lyra paused at the edge of a collapsed bridge overlooking a deep canyon. Her eyes scanned the horizon, catching every movement in the distance. "Marcus," she said, her voice calm but tense, "I sense patrols nearby. They are watching us, waiting for the right moment to strike." Their numbers were small, but Marcus knew they could survive with careful strategy and timing. They moved through narrow streets and broken alleys, careful to avoid enemy patrols. Lyra's heightened perception made her aware of even the faintest signs of danger. A broken fence slightly shifted, a shadow that lingered too long, a faint hum of energy from hidden machines. She guided Marcus and the humans along safer paths, and he began to realize just how remarkable she had become. Her alien instincts combined with human blood gave her an almost supernatural ability to sense threats and react quickly. At dusk, they reached a forest that had survived the worst of the bombing. The trees were twisted but alive, their thick canopies offering cover from aerial scouts. Marcus set up a small camp and Lyra helped gather supplies. Despite the exhaustion and danger, there was a quiet sense of accomplishment. They had survived another day, and the bond between them continued to strengthen. While the humans prepared the camp, Lyra spoke quietly to Marcus. "I never thought I could trust someone from another world so quickly," she admitted. "But you saved my life, and now I feel as if part of you is always with me." Marcus looked at her, understanding the depth of her words. He felt the same connection, a bond that went beyond words or even logic. "It's not just about saving lives," he said. "It's about standing together. We make each other stronger." Marcus immediately crouched, signaling for Lyra and the others to stay low. A group of Zytherian nobles approached, their faces marked with suspicion and fear. Marcus recognized the tension in their movements. They were not here to help. They had heard of the princess's survival and the human who had saved her. To them, Marcus represented both a curiosity and a threat. Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "You have come to see me," she said. "I am alive and I have chosen my path." The nobles exchanged uneasy glances. "You survived because of him," one of them said sharply, pointing at Marcus. "And now you are under his influence. This cannot continue. You must return to your duties, and he must leave." She had made her choice, and her people's attempts to separate them only strengthened her resolve. One of the nobles hissed, "Your human bond is dangerous. It could weaken your leadership, Lyra. You are under obligation to your people, not this foreign soldier." Lyra's eyes blazed with determination. "I am a leader who protects her people. And right now, protection requires him." She glanced at Marcus, her expression softening. "Together we can do what alone we could not." Zytheria's internal politics were as dangerous as the enemy machines outside. But for now, he had the princess's trust, and that was enough to continue moving forward. That night, Marcus and Lyra sat near the campfire, sharing stories of their pasts. Lyra spoke of her childhood, her training as a princess, and the expectations placed on her from birth. Marcus told her about Earth, about the soldiers he had served with and the battles he had fought. Despite the differences in their worlds, they found common ground in courage, determination, and the desire to protect those who could not protect themselves. Lyra's eyes softened as she listened. "You have given me more than life, Marcus," she said. "You have given me understanding. I see now that humans are capable of great courage and compassion. I never thought it possible that someone from another world could make such a difference." Marcus smiled. "It's not about the world, it's about people. And right now we're people working together." Marcus quickly gathered his squad and prepared Lyra. "We have to move," he said, urgency in his voice. "They've tracked us. We need to get deeper into the forest where the machines won't follow as easily." Together, they navigated the dangers of the forest, avoiding traps and ambushes. Marcus was impressed by how quickly she adapted, her alien abilities and human blood creating a unique advantage that made their journey safer. As they reached a small clearing, Marcus noticed something unusual, faint traces of energy signatures that did not match the enemy machines. Lyra approached carefully, sensing the same anomaly. "These are not our enemies," she said. "Something else is here, something alive." "We've been hiding for days." Marcus quickly assessed their condition and supplies. "You're safe now," he said. "We'll get you to a secure place." The transfusion had not only given her strength, but also the ability to connect with others on a deeper level. The bond they shared seemed to extend subtly to those around her, inspiring trust and calm. The group moved together through the forest, Marcus leading with strategy and precision, Lyra guiding with instinct and intuition. They encountered minor skirmishes with enemy patrols, but their combined abilities allowed them to evade capture and neutralize threats with minimal harm. Marcus realized that the princess was no longer just a person to protect. She was a partner, a warrior in her own right, capable of holding her own in dangerous situations. As night fell, they set up another camp in a hidden cave, safe from aerial scouts and mechanical patrols. Lyra sat beside Marcus, exhausted but alert. "We've made it through another day," she said quietly. Marcus nodded, studying the faces of the survivors around them. "And we will survive the next, together." "I never thought a human could become so important to me," she admitted. "But you have shown me courage, understanding, and strength. I do not want to leave your side." Marcus felt a warmth spread through him. "You don't have to. We are stronger together. That is all that matters." He thought about the future, about the challenges that awaited them, both from the enemy and from the internal politics of Zytherra. But he also felt a rare sense of hope. They had survived impossible odds, and the bond between them had grown deeper. Human courage and alien instinct combined created something extraordinary, something that neither the enemy nor the dangers of the world could easily break. By morning, they continued their journey, moving deeper into the forest toward a safe haven Marcus had scouted earlier. Along the way, Lyra's abilities continued to develop. She could sense the movement of enemy patrols before they appeared, anticipate environmental hazards, and even detect subtle changes in the behavior of her own people. Marcus guided her in using these abilities wisely, teaching her patience, strategy, and restraint. "You are learning quickly," Marcus said as they paused by a stream to refill supplies. "Soon you will be able to handle situations on your own." Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes bright. "I want to learn from you not just for survival, but to lead my people. I owe them that, and I owe you for giving me the chance to continue." Marcus realized that this partnership was more than survival. It was a symbol of hope. Humans could survive, adapt, and inspire others across worlds. And now, Lyra carried a part of that human spirit within her, ready to face challenges that neither species could endure alone. As they set out again, the forest seemed less threatening. Even the shadows and sounds of distant machines held less fear. With Marcus by her side and the bond between them growing stronger, Lyra felt a sense of confidence she had never known. Together, they would face the dangers of Zytherra, protect the survivors, and continue to build a future where humans and Zytherians could stand as allies rather than enemies. For Marcus, the journey was not just about survival. It was about purpose, courage, and connection. The princess he had saved was no longer just someone in need. She was a leader, a partner, and a symbol of the strength that humans could bring to the galaxy. And together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, side by side, unbroken and unstoppable. The forest grew darker as Marcus and Lyra moved deeper, the twin suns dipping below the horizon and leaving shadows that seemed alive. The distant hum of machinery and the occasional screech of a Zytherian predator reminded them that danger was never far. Yet they moved with purpose, careful and silent, knowing that every step could mean survival or disaster. The survivors they had rescued were with them, following Marcus's instructions and trusting Lyra's instincts. Their small group felt fragile, yet there was a quiet confidence in the way humans and Zytherians worked together. Lyra had grown stronger with each passing day. The transfusion had given her enhanced abilities, and her senses were sharper than ever. She could hear the faintest movement in the underbrush, detect subtle changes in the air, and sense the presence of patrols long before they appeared. Marcus observed her closely. Noting the combination of human blood and her alien physiology seemed to give her an edge he had never seen in any soldier, human or otherwise. He admired her determination, the way she never hesitated despite the risks. "Marcus," she whispered, her violet eyes scanning the shadows, "I feel them. Enemy patrols close. They are waiting for us, I think." "Follow my lead and watch the flanks." He motioned for the survivors to crouch low and stay close. The forest was thick here, trees twisted into sharp shapes, roots like tangled serpents. Every step had to be calculated, every sound measured. Suddenly, a faint shimmer appeared ahead. Marcus froze, signaling everyone to stop. Lyra's hand touched his arm, a silent message that she understood the danger. The shimmer grew stronger, revealing an enemy squad equipped with energy rifles and hovering sensors. Marcus counted their numbers, 10, armed and alert, moving with practiced precision. Lyra's enhanced perception allowed her to notice the smallest details, the tilt of their weapons, the spacing between them, the slight hesitation in their steps. "We can't outrun them," Marcus whispered. "We need a plan." Lyra nodded. "We could use the terrain, lead them toward the canyon edge. They will be forced to break formation." Marcus agreed. "Good, let's do it carefully. Everyone stay quiet until I give the signal." With a sudden movement, she caused a small rock slide, startling the enemy. The patrol reacted instantly, but just as Marcus had predicted, the canyon edge forced them into a tight formation. Marcus and the survivors attacked, using human tactics and guerrilla maneuvers. The fight was quick but precise. Marcus's leadership combined with Lyra's instincts made them a formidable team. The enemy was pushed back, scattered, and ultimately forced to retreat. After the skirmish, Marcus checked the survivors. "Everyone okay?" he asked. Nods and murmurs of agreement followed. Lyra approached him, brushing dirt and leaves from his armor. "You're remarkable, Marcus," she said softly. "Your strategy saved us all." Marcus shook his head with a small smile. "We saved each other." "Don't forget that." As dawn approached, they reached the cave entrance, a hidden opening at the base of a rocky cliff. Marcus led the group inside, securing the entrance to prevent any patrols from finding them. Inside, the air was cooler and fresher, a small relief after days of traveling through the harsh forest. Lyra looked around, studying the cave system with keen interest. "This will be safe for now," she said. "We can rest, plan, and prepare." "But not without you." She looked at him, her violet eyes filled with trust and determination. Marcus felt a swell of pride and responsibility. She was no longer just the princess he had saved, she was a partner, a leader in her own right, and someone he would do anything to protect. During the day, Marcus and Lyra trained the survivors, teaching them basic defense strategies, emergency procedures, and cooperative tactics. Lyra absorbed every lesson, her enhanced abilities allowing her to quickly master techniques that would take others weeks. She demonstrated them to the group, her confidence inspiring even the most hesitant survivors. Marcus watched her with admiration, realizing that this princess, once weak and injured, was now becoming a formidable leader. That evening, as they rested in the cave, Lyra turned to Marcus. "Do you think we can truly protect everyone?" she asked softly. "Even if the enemy comes in greater numbers?" "We can protect them if we work together. Humans have a way of surviving against impossible odds. And now you have a part of that human strength inside you. You're not alone." It's trust, understanding, and courage. Those are the things that make humans remarkable, and now they are part of you too. Enemy war machines, larger and more advanced than the ones they had faced before, were approaching the cave system. Marcus immediately assessed the situation. "They've found us," he said. "Get everyone ready. We have to defend this position until we can plan our next move. Together we can hold them off long enough for the survivors to escape." Marcus smiled, proud of her determination. "Exactly, that's what we'll do." The survivors followed their lead, gaining confidence as they witnessed the humans and Lyra's effectiveness. Hours passed in intense combat. Sparks flew, energy blasts ricocheted off the cave walls, and the ground shook with each strike of the machines. Marcus's leadership and Lyra's instincts turned the tide. Even the most inexperienced survivors contributed, their courage inspired by the example of their leaders. Finally, after a long and exhausting battle, the machines were destroyed or forced to retreat. Breathing heavily, Marcus looked around at the group. Everyone was alive, shaken, but unharmed. Lyra approached him, her face glowing with relief and determination. "We did it," she said softly. "We protected them." The bond between the human soldier and the alien princess had grown stronger than ever. They had faced enemy machines, navigated dangerous terrain, and protected those who could not protect themselves. And through it all, they had learned to trust and rely on each other completely. Lyra looked at Marcus, her violet eyes reflecting the firelight. "I cannot leave your side, Marcus," she said quietly. "I owe you my life, yes, but more than that, I trust you. I believe in you. I believe in us." Outside, the wind whispered through the forest, carrying the faint promise of a world that could be rebuilt. Marcus knew that the days ahead would bring new challenges, new battles, and new threats. But he also knew that with Lyra by his side, with their bond strengthened by shared danger and mutual respect, they could face anything. The night passed peacefully, a rare moment of calm in a world of chaos. Marcus kept watch at the entrance, alert for any signs of movement. Lyra rested nearby, her senses still sharp even in sleep. He felt the subtle rhythm of her presence, the bond that had begun with blood and trust now growing into something deeper, something unbreakable. By morning, they were ready to move again, continuing their journey toward a safer haven for the survivors and a stronger foothold for the princess's leadership. Marcus and Lyra had proven their strength, courage, and unity. And as they prepared to leave the cave, Marcus realized that the bond between a human soldier and an alien princess had grown into something far greater than either of them could have imagined, a partnership that could change the fate of an entire planet. They stepped out into the early morning light, their silhouettes strong against the recovering forest. Together, they would face the coming challenges, relying on courage, strategy, and the extraordinary bond that had saved their lives. The war was far from over, but Marcus and Lyra had already shown that when humans act with bravery, compassion, and ingenuity, they could shape the destiny of worlds. And with that knowledge, they moved forward, ready to meet whatever awaited them. The sun rose over Zytherra, its light spilling across the jagged mountains and battered cities. The air smelled faintly of smoke and earth, but it also carried a hint of renewal. Marcus Kane stood atop a ridge, surveying the land below. He had fought battles across many worlds, but Zytherra felt different. This was more than a mission. It was a chance to protect life, to inspire hope, and to show that humans with courage and compassion could change the course of history. Beside him, Lyra, the princess who had survived impossible odds, stood tall, her violet eyes scanning the horizon with purpose and strength. Their journey over the past weeks had been grueling. They had navigated forests filled with predators, ruins crawling with enemy patrols, and the treacherous politics of Lyra's own people. Each challenge had tested their courage, their wits, and their bond. Yet through it all, they had survived. They had built trust between humans and Zytherians, creating a small but determined alliance of survivors who now looked to them for guidance. Marcus turned to Lyra. "We need to move quickly," he said. "The remaining enemy forces are regrouping in the valley. If we strike together, we can drive them out for good." Lyra nodded. Her body was stronger than before, her abilities sharpened by the human blood she carried and her own alien instincts. "I am ready," she said. "For my people and for those who trust us." Marcus would coordinate the main attack, ensuring that every human and Zytherian fought as a united force. As they descended into the valley, the signs of war were clear. Burned-out vehicles littered the roads, the remains of abandoned towns smoldered in the sunlight, and the distant hum of enemy machinery echoed through the hills. Marcus felt the familiar weight of responsibility, but he also felt a surge of confidence. He had faced impossible odds before, but this time he was not alone. Beside him was Lyra, a partner whose courage and determination matched his own. Together, they were more than soldiers. They were a force that could inspire hope and survival. The enemy emerged from the shadows, a mix of rogue machines and armed soldiers determined to maintain control over the valley. Marcus and Lyra acted in perfect coordination. Marcus led the main force, directing the survivors with precision. Lyra moved along the flanks, sensing danger before it arrived and guiding her allies to safety. Their combined leadership turned the tide of the battle. The enemy was clever, but they were no match for the human ingenuity and alien instinct working in harmony. During the fight, Marcus noticed a group of enemy machines attempting to cut off their escape route. Without hesitation, he and Lyra moved to intercept them. Marcus fired his rifle with expert precision, disabling the first machine, while Lyra's enhanced agility allowed her to navigate the terrain effortlessly, using energy blasts to disable the others. Their teamwork was flawless, each anticipating the other's moves. Together, they neutralized the threat before it could endanger the survivors. As the battle continued, the morale of their group remained high. The survivors, inspired by Marcus and Lyra, fought with determination and courage. Human soldiers shared tactics with the Zytherians, teaching them how to use their weapons effectively and coordinate movements. Lyra encouraged them, her presence a beacon of hope. She moved through the battlefield with confidence, her human-enhanced senses allowing her to anticipate enemy movements and protect her allies. Hours passed in intense combat. Dust and smoke filled the air, energy blasts lit up the horizon, and the ground shook with the impact of heavy machinery. Marcus fought tirelessly, protecting the weakest and ensuring that every move was calculated for maximum effect. Lyra, equally determined, coordinated attacks and guided survivors away from danger. Their bond, forged in blood and trust, proved stronger than any weapon the enemy could deploy. Finally, as the sun began to set, the enemy forces faltered. The combination of human strategy, Lyra's enhanced instincts, and the courage of the survivors had turned the tide. One by one, the machines fell silent, and the enemy soldiers surrendered or fled. The valley was quiet, the echoes of battle fading into the distance. Marcus and Lyra stood side by side, surveying the aftermath. Their group was exhausted, battered, and bruised, but they were alive, and they had achieved what many had thought impossible. Lyra turned to Marcus, her violet eyes shining with relief and gratitude. "We did it," she said softly. "Together we saved the valley and we saved my people." Marcus smiled, placing a hand gently on hers. "We did it because we worked together." Humans survive through courage and ingenuity, but we also survive through trust and unity. And now, so do you. The injured received medical attention, the weary were given rest, and the young and frightened were reassured. Marcus realized that victory was not just about defeating the enemy. It was about protecting life, inspiring courage, and creating a sense of belonging. As night fell, Marcus and Lyra led the survivors to a secure area in the valley, a place where they could rest and begin rebuilding. Fires were lit, supplies were distributed, and the survivors shared stories of hope and resilience. Marcus felt a deep satisfaction, knowing that human ingenuity and compassion had played a critical role in saving not just lives, but the future of an entire community. Lyra sat beside Marcus, her head resting briefly on his shoulder. "I never imagined a human could mean so much to me," she whispered. "You saved my life, but you also taught me courage, patience, and trust. I cannot leave your side, Marcus, not now, not ever." Marcus squeezed her hand gently. "You don't have to, we're stronger together. And we will face the future together, whatever it holds." She learned quickly, combining her natural abilities with human strategies, and the survivors responded with loyalty and respect. Marcus watched her growth with pride. The princess he had saved was no longer just someone in need. She was a leader, a symbol of resilience, and a partner he could trust completely. Their bond had grown deeper than either of them could have imagined, forged in survival, strengthened in battle, and solidified in trust and understanding. One evening, as the twin moons of Zytherra rose, Marcus and Lyra stood on a ridge overlooking the valley. The fires of the camp below flickered like stars, and the survivors moved through their new homes with a sense of purpose. Marcus felt a quiet satisfaction. They had faced impossible odds, survived battles that seemed unwinnable, and inspired hope in those who had almost given up. Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes reflecting the moonlight. "Marcus, the humans have a saying, 'Where there is courage, there is hope.' You have shown me that courage in ways I never understood." "I will carry that with me always," Marcus smiled. "And you have shown me that hope is worth fighting for no matter the cost." It was a connection that transcended worlds, species, and circumstance, a bond that could endure any challenge the universe might bring. In the days that followed, Marcus and Lyra continued to strengthen the valley. The survivors worked together, humans and Zytherians alike, learning from each other and building a community founded on cooperation and mutual respect. Lyra's leadership grew stronger every day, guided by the lessons she had learned from Marcus and the trust she had developed in herself. Marcus knew that their journey was far from over. Zytherra was still a dangerous world, and the remnants of enemy forces remained. But he also knew that with Lyra by his side and the bond they shared, they could face anything. Together, they were more than human and Zytherian. They were a force of hope, courage, and survival that could inspire an entire planet. One evening, as the survivors gathered around a fire, Marcus and Lyra sat quietly together. The valley was calm, the air filled with the quiet sounds of rebuilding and recovery. Lyra leaned against Marcus, her head resting on his shoulder. "I don't want to leave this place," she whispered. "Not because I fear the world, but because I want to stay with you. You have given me life, courage, and hope. I cannot imagine a future without you by my side. And I will not leave your side ever." And now, standing together on a planet that had once seemed so hostile and unwelcoming, they knew that the future was theirs to shape. The survivors below moved with purpose, inspired by the courage and leadership of Marcus and Lyra. Humans and Zytherians worked side by side, rebuilding their homes, protecting each other, and creating a community that would endure long after the battles had ended. Marcus realized that this was the true victory, not just survival, but the creation of hope, trust, and unity in the face of impossible odds. Lyra squeezed his hand, her voice soft but filled with determination. "We will protect this place. We will protect each other. And together we will ensure that our people never forget the lessons we have learned, courage, trust, and the strength that comes from standing together." Marcus nodded, feeling the weight and the promise of her words. Yes, together. Their bond had been forged in blood and danger, strengthened by courage and trust, and now it would guide them into the future. The human soldier and the alien princess had faced impossible odds, survived against incredible challenges, and in doing so had created a bond that could change the destiny of a world. For Marcus, this was more than a mission. It was proof that humans, with their courage, ingenuity, and compassion, could stand as protectors, allies, and beacons of hope across the galaxy. And for Lyra, it was proof that even in the darkest of times, survival, courage, and trust could light the way forward. Together, Marcus and Lyra had not just survived, they had triumphed. And together, they would face whatever the future held, unbroken, united, and unstoppable.